Hello everyone, this is Ian again, also known as Takale, and today I am going to do probably my longest video yet, where I am going to be making a module completely from scratch, asterisk, you'll see why in a second, and so my plan is to just record everything. I have read the PDF that I'm going to be entering today before, but not in the last 4 years. So what I'm going to be doing, this is kind of like announcing what I'm doing here. I am remaking the PF2e Expansion Pack module. It was built for Foundry 0.9, years and years ago, back in 2021, and that module is pretty out of date. It no longer functions in the current version of Foundry. The last time I ran the migrations for it was in 2022 to bring it up to V10, and that's a pretty old version of Foundry. We're no longer safe to run migrations for content that's that old. I should have been keeping up with it, but I didn't. I just got very busy with grad school. So, excuse me. Instead, what I'm going to do is I am going to be adding in one Ancestry at a time until we get back to all of the second-party products. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be adding in any of the third-party stuff, just because that is a pretty large, sort of, chunk of content that I just don't have time to make or maintain right now. And so the thing that I'm going to be adding in today for the video, and I will expand on this in later updates to the module, is the Pnoll. So if you do not know what the Pnoll is, they are opossum folk. It is written by Logan Bonner, a name you might be familiar with. You can buy the Pnoll Ancestry here on DriveThruRPG. I reached out to Logan, and he was kind enough to say that years ago, he was kind enough to say I could make a module of this and release it for free, despite this being a paid product. And I reached out to him again yesterday, and asked him if he was okay with me doing this, this sort of live streaming of making it, which will involve showing most of the PDF to you here on camera. And he said, of course. And so I highly recommend, if you like this, it is $4. Go check it out. It's a very cool Ancestry, as you'll see. You'll get a chance to see, not only it has, nice art in there, but it also, has some basic stuff you'd want from an Ancestry. It's got all of the statistics and everything. So this is an OGL product, so we're going to be licensing this with OGL. The content has not been remastered, and so that will cause a little bit of a headache, but that's fine. It happens. And again, I have not looked at this in since 2021, since I put it in. And so it is going to be quite interesting to see, how quick I can get this thing in, and especially given that there are possibly some things in here, that aren't formatted the way like a Paizo PDF would be. And so we'll see how messy my new process is with this PDF here. All right, so to get started, on your Foundry, to make a module, like I said, I'm doing this completely from scratch. I have not created the module yet. We are going to click on the Add-on Modules tab, and then we're just going to click this button to create a module. Okay, and so we are going to call this PF2e Expansion Pack. And notice that the package identifier automatically fills in with the kebab case name, package version. So this will need to change before I actually do the update for me because the expansion pack already has existing versions, but that's just a complication of the fact that I'm going to be overwriting an existing module with this. And then package URL. We'll talk about the URL later. So you can give your package a description, right? I will fill in the description later because I'm just going to be largely copy pasting it from before. All right, minimum version 12. Pretty soon you'll be able to use version 13. Do not use version 13 until it and the PF2e system are both out fully for it. So that means PF2e version 7.0 is out. All these testing versions that you're seeing coming out are they're there for devs to test against. All right, so authors, and add myself as an author here for the module because I'm the module author, I'm not the author of the content. Compendium packs. So we're going to need to add several compendium packs, and just from these 3 pages, I already know that I'm going to need just these 2 pages. I need one for an Ancestry, I'm going to need one for Heritages, and I'm going to need one for Feats. I can scan through here and take a look. Yeah, so it doesn't look like I'm going to need anything else. I only need the three packs right here. So let's make those packs. All right, Compendium Pack 1. All right, so we're going to do Ancestries, and this is an item type pack, and this is going to require Pathfinder 2e. Then we're also going to have Feats, and this is an item, and it's going to require Pathfinder 2e, and then Heritages, and item, and PF2e. Alright, so there's my packs, and before I create the module I need to set a relationship, and that relationship is that this requires the Pathfinder 2nd Edition system. You could set a relationship to a module, right? Like if I was going to make a module that expanded on what the Companion Compendia did, I would want to set it to require Companion Compendia. And that's so that if I if I wind up, if I install the module, it will prompt me to install Companion Compendia if it's not already. Okay, and so that is everything we need, so we can create our module. So now the expansion pack module, right? Expansion pack module is now created. You can see it here. Before I actually start working on it, I'm going to want to do some editing to this module.json. So we are going to close Foundry. Anytime you're going to update the actual module itself in the files, you're going to close out of Foundry. And so I'm going to go into my Foundry data folder, into modules, and then I can find my PF2e expansion pack. And I'm going to open up module.json. Okay, and so here, right, so after you've created the module, this is where you can come in and you can tell it everything you need to know about the module, right? So a few things that we're going to do here. We are using this, we're going to be building this in PF2e 6.10, and so it's a good idea to set this to minimum 6.10. I actually think we're on 6.11, but it doesn't matter. We haven't done a schema migration in a while, so 6 point whatever would all be fine. Okay, and so that is, that's the first thing, is we want to set, like, hey, don't let somebody with PF2e 6.1 come in here and start using this module, because it might break, because we have made some changes since then to data structures. Okay, and so the next thing that we want to do, right, so here's all of our packs. These are going to be kind of a mess if we just drop them in into the thing. And this software that I'm using is Sublime Text. I really like Sublime Text as an editor. So you don't have to use Sublime Text. You can use, I know a lot of people use VS Code for this. You can also use Notepad++. They are all free. Asterisk Sublime Text is on the WinRAR free plan, where it's an unlimited free trial. So, alright. What I'm going to want to do to start is to put these things in folders. Okay, so we're going to make a new pack folders array, and we're going to make a folder. And so that folder is going to be named Expansion Pack. The sorting, manual sorting, so it's just going to be the order we put things in here, and then packs. Okay, and so our packs are Ancestries, Feats, and Heritages. And so when you're using Sublime Text or several other editors, you can do what's called multi-cursor mode, where you can add multiple cursors. And so I can copy all three of those packs at once, add them in here, and then just do the formatting very quickly. So, all right, I've now got my folder set up so that these things will be nice and organized. I could, if I wanted to, add a color code, right? So I can add a hexadecimal color code. I'm not going to. And I could also add subfolders, right? So I could say expansion pack and then, subfolder for whatever else I want. For the Roll for Combat modules, for example, here, let me work off my second screen and there. Okay, so this is from the Roll for Combat modules, right? You can see we've got this pack folders. I make a Roll for Combat folder, and then under that folder I have the Year of Legends folder that has all the stuff for Year of Legends, and then there's another one for in the, like, say, Battles of Bestiary. We have this same folder set up, and Foundry merges those folders so that all the stuff from RFC is kept in one nice, neat place. It's much better for organizing. But we don't need to add any subfolders to this. Okay. So that's that. And the last thing that I want to add here, excuse me. The last thing I want to add here is flags. And so flags is going to be an object, and we are going to use another object under that with the exact ID of our module. So in this case, it's PF2e Expansion Pack. If you come all the way up to the top, it is this line here in the ID. And that is, by the way, this is where you would change the version number. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to call this version 3.0. For those who are unfamiliar with semantic versioning, this is a major release, this is a minor release, and this is a patch release. Okay, so, all right, and then under the PF2e Expansion Pack, we've got PF2e Homebrew, because we are setting flags for the module that are homebrew traits. So we're going to set up the homebrew traits here. And so we're going to start with Feat traits. That's another object. And then we're going to need Pnoll. And so what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to do the proper thing, right? I could just say Pnoll, just like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to localize this module. And so you will see how you can set up localization as part of this. You do not need to do that. This is purely because this is going to be a module from one of us system devs. It's best if it's, you know, done to as high a standard as we can, and that means that let our localization teams more easily work with the data if they wanted to actually localize it. Okay, and so that is the Feat traits. Let's keep this alphabetical order here. So let's go feature traits next, and we'll just move that on top of Feat traits. And then we're going to do the exact same thing, right? So we need a Pnoll trait. And this this PF2e thing here, that is arbitrary, right? So the PF2e system uses capital PF2e for its localization calls. You can define whatever you want. Just try not to use ones that already exist, right? So I'm unlikely to run into anything that is going to conflict here. All right. So that's my flags done for now. When I come back in and I add in other ancestries, I'm going to end up needing to expand this, but that's fine. Okay, and so now the next thing, since I am going to be localizing this, I need to add a languages. And this is an array. And so this is language is English. And so this is the important part. So the path. So I am just going to have an en.json file. I will put it into its own folder. So I'm going to have a languages folder /en.json. So lang/en.json. Okay, and so that is that's enough to define the language here. And so I can save that. That should be everything I need. So we can come back in here, and I'm going to make a new folder, lang, new text document, en.json. That's almost but not quite two different names. All right, en.json. Okay, so now we can open this up. And so in the language file, we're going to just make an object, because this whole thing is just going to be an object. And so we are going to type in the thing at the top. So this is where you would define what your top level for your module is. And then we want a traits object. I highly recommend, if you're going to do this, doing it this way, as opposed to paying attention to what the system does, because the system has, 6 years of cruft that we have to kind of deal with. Where the system just has, PF2e trait fire as opposed to PF2e, or PF2e dot trait fire as opposed to PF2e dot trait dot fire. And yeah, so I called this trait here, so I need to not call this traits. Okay, and so now I am defining this trait in here as this text. And so if somebody came in with an fr.json and they had this same thing and they just translated Pnoll to whatever it would be in French or in Mandarin or Russian or any other language, right? You would they would come in here, they would put in the text into their .json file, and then if Foundry is set to that language, it will swap out any instance of this call, the call to pfexp.trait.pnoll, to whatever they decide there. So, and you can also use this same method to define alternate definitions for things, or alternate English things. So let's say I wanted to override one of the existing traits in PF2e, I could. And so this would override the system's trait fire with fire ... bad, right? So I can, and that would only affect, by the way, existing. That's ugly. Why are we indenting using tabs? All right. So that would overwrite existing calls to that. If you actually wanted to rename fire, you would have to do that in a lot of places because there's a lot of labels for fire. There's like damage labels and things like that that have different, so the trait is always capitalized. The damage label is all lowercase. So you'd have to override both of those in order to override the word fire entirely. A common thing for that is people want to override the currencies. And so you can find where the currencies are in the system's localization files, and you can provide a module that overrides them. The one thing to be aware of there is that we still have a bunch of hard coding for currencies in the system. It's something we need to fix and probably will fix come Starfinder 2e. All right, so we now have our homebrew traits set up. We've got our languages. We're sorted into folders. We're doing good, right? And so we are going to launch Foundry again. And so I am going to double check that I don't have any warnings. If you get a warning here, pay attention to it. I'm going to go into my module development world. So you may recognize this as the world that the last rule element video was done in. All right. Of course, we've released an update since I last built the system. Okay, so we are going to enable the expansion pack. We're also going to enable a couple of other modules here. So quick insert's already enabled. I'll enable this to show it off, but it's not a publicly available module. And then we just don't need the actual map pack to be enabled anymore, so we can disable that. But this map does come from Mechamaya's Season of Ghosts remake module. It was made by Liquid Mohawk. I think it was made in Incarnate, and it's a really cool map of Willow Shore from an isometric view. If you don't know what Willow Shore is, play in Season of Ghosts. It's a really cool town. All right, so we are going to come to our Compendium folder. We've got our expansion pack. We've got all three of our modules, of our compendiums that we made. And I'm going to unlock these. I believe I showed this off in the first data entry video. There will be a little bit of overlap, obviously, because I was explaining the tools I use. but I have a script here that just unlocks all Compendium packs, because I don't want to have to right-click a whole bunch of times. And so, right, we open these up, and they are empty, as you would expect. All right, I have not set up this world to actually do data entry in, so I'm going to need to grab my... I'm probably going to have to blur this section of the video. To grab my data entry things. Yeah, you don't get to see what else I'm working on. Sorry. All right, and so these are my data entry macros. I usually keep them updated with whatever my latest version is. We don't need the spell entry macro because we're not doing NPC entry. We don't need duplicate actors because we're not doing NPC entry. We can use duplicate items, so we're going to duplicate some items here. Set that to scrapped and summon loot. Give that thing an icon that reminds me of what it does. And then finalize data entry. That one we're going to be using as well. I usually put that on 5. Because I will very often accidentally hit 1 or 2. Okay. And so... now the thing that I need to do is I need to come to the OGL license. Okay, and so the reason I'm coming to the OGL license and copying this, even though it's just 2 words, is because I want to make absolutely sure I do not misspell this. Right, so that is the book name, the license is OGL, and it is not remaster. Okay, so now I have my data entry macros set up. Let's get actually started making the Ancestry. So first things first, I'm going to make the Ancestry item. And so, uh-oh, I messed up something. Well, let's fix that. Okay, what did I mess up? PF2e trait, Pnoll. PF2e trait, Pnoll. Oh, haha. We capitalize the traits here as well. So, okay. Let's close Foundry, relaunch it, and we will and yes, that is Calculon in my data entry world. Okay. There we go. All right. So, I'm going to be working with only one monitor here so you can see the whole process. So we're going to start at the top. Pnoll is rare. And for something like Roll for Combat modules, I would take all of this text and I would include it in a journal. I'm not going to do that just so that people have a reason to go buy the actual PDF. Please do. It's a really cool Ancestry. Okay, so this is 10 hit points. They are medium, 25 feet. All right, here's our ability boosts, right? Otherwise known as attribute boosts now. So we've got Constitution, Intelligence, Free, and a Flaw to Charisma. All right, Constitution, Intelligence. The system automatically adds the free boost in. If you needed to do that again, you just check all of them. That gives you a free boost. And then Flaw to Charisma. Okay. Languages. We have common and Pnoll. Oh, there's a Pnoll language. Oops. All right, so that means I'm going to need to add a language to the module. Okay, so in order to add a language, right? So we're going to close it and languages. Okay, same thing. It's the same localization. Pnoll speak Pnoll. I could split this out, right? I could say, in addition to traits, there's also a language Pnoll. And in fact, I will. Let's actually do that. So just in case it translates differently, like if in another language it would necessarily need to be something like Pnoll-ish, so we're gonna be proper, and I'm even gonna spell language correctly. Thank you, Sublime Text, for reminding me to buy you. I am a poor former grad student, so no, not right now. All right, so. All right, we've got this set up now. We're localizing the language name properly. We're defining the language. Anybody else get that kind of bug where the Foundry client just starts as a gray screen until you resize the window? Maybe it's just me. All right, back in here. So now languages. Well, I defined it correctly. Did I just forget to save? Oh, I defined it as languages. That's fine. That'll just fix on the next refresh we do. Okay, so now we've got our Pnoll set up here. Low light vision. We can choose from Goblin, Halfling, Orcish, Undercommon. Okay, Goblin, Halfling, Orcish, Undercommon. Undercommon got changed, didn't it? Yeah, it's, what's it called? So we're going to pull up the Remaster Changes journal, and we're going to come to languages. We're going to look at Undercommon. It is now Sakroth. Okay, and so that kind of remastering change where we are just changing the label here in Foundry is acceptable under the licensing. Paizo's clarified that is permissible. All right, we can check our finalized data macro, clicked it, it automatically put in the publication data for it. Okay, so now we have this, and we have one Ancestry feature, and that is pouch. And you know what? I'm going to need another compendium for okay, so I need to find a good icon for pouch. All right, that's probably going to be in containers and bags, and good enough. All right, we just pick one because there's just not an image of an opossum's pouch, right? Just not a no marsupials really represented here in the Foundry icons. Okay, so for those who haven't watched my other data entry video, I'm not going to explain too much about the data entry tool. You're just going to see it in action here. You just paste text in, click reformat, and it reformats it. The big thing this did for this text is it got rid of the line breaks. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this. So if you're unaware what this magic wand is, so this magic wand gives you this screen here. It's sort of like quick insert. I find it to be a little fiddly, like when it pops up and everything, so I don't like it. I will stick with quick insert, but we will get to quick inserts problems later. Okay, so before we move on, before I do anything else here, I need to create a new compendium because I forgot one, and that's fine because you need to see how you can expand on your stuff later. All right, so I need a compendium for Ancestry features. So I am going to close Foundry because we're going to be making changes to this, and I am going to very quickly just rebuild the PF2e system so that I get rid of that stupid note telling me to update. Okay, so now, back in here, in our module.json, we're going to be adding a new compendium, and I'm going to just copy and paste from one of these, because it's the same thing. It's an item type. Players should have observer status on it. And so we're going to call this features, and actually alphabetically, U comes after S, so we move that there, and then we are going to want to put features into our pack folder. Don't forget that step, it's kind of important. Okay, and so since we are closing and relaunching Foundry, the changes we made here will take, and so we, so we're going to get the right language, or the right label on our language. Okay, system is still rebuilding. I have a very old computer. It takes about like 40 seconds or so to build on first go after a reboot. It only takes like 30 seconds or so after I do it again. But okay, we're rebuilding. And you won't have to do any rebuilding of the system. That's just, I'm going to be here for a while. Begin migration. I don't need a backup. And we're going to be a little while for working on this. I don't want, little reminder icons telling me that I've got something to pay attention to. It just distracts me. Okay. Back in the world, we now have our features compendium. As you can see, right, if you do want to just unlock things manually, just right-click them. All right, so now we've got our features. And so I'm going to do this properly. I'm going to make folders for everything. Finalize data entry before I send things into Compendium. All right, I now have a feature for the Pnoll. I then drag it in here. Note that I am definitely doing this from Compendium. Once I have the thing in Compendium, I do not need it in my world anymore. It is only going to confuse things. I'm going to delete it. You can just move things. If you're doing a lot of data entry, it is safer to just move things into a folder and call it like exported. That way you have backups. But this is one tiny little item that didn't require any like automation work, so I'm not worried about it. Just to make sure that when I, if I need to reference it later, I can say, pouch, and there it is, and I don't get the world version 2. Okay, so now that is done with that. And so that is, we need to add the humanoid trait too. I missed that. All right, so humanoid Pnoll, that works. My language now has the right label because we fixed the localization call. All right, so that is the Ancestry itself. It's done, except we do need a description, right? You can put all this text in the description if you want. The system has moved to a more compact way of doing this, where we just have, this sort of headline text. If this doesn't exist in your module, then you just do like, the first couple sentences or whatever. You're making your own module, what goes there. And so like if we look up the human ancestry, we can see this, and then we link to the human ancestry journal, which has all the mechanics for human listed out here. We're not going to make that journal for this module. Maybe in the future I will, but it's just more work. I've already got stuff to do. All right, so we've got this. This is not a very great icon for it. Let's see if we can find a different one. So we're going to go to gameicons.net. We're just going to look for not I can look through animal icons and see if we can find anything. Anything that looks vaguely Pnollish or like a possum. No, I don't see anything. So for those who are unaware, gameicons.net is an excellent resource. These are SVG files. You can download them as SVG files, which means that they download with it's a very tiny file with, instead of like being an actual like image, you can open it up in a text editor and you can see that it's just basically saying, start a point here, draw a line to here, draw a curve with this radius to here. These you build images up just from these vector commands. And so it is a very compact way of making an image, and it also means that you can apply effects to them very easily, and so you can copy the style that the system uses, right? So you can see how the system adds this shadow here, and that is just a very easy thing to do. The really nice thing about game icons is that they are free to use. They are all Creative Commons as long as you give credit, and so this is CC by line 3.0. So what you would have to do if you use this telescope icon, you would just say, oh, well, we use this icon from this person. They are very, very good. Highly recommend, if you're doing any project and you need some art that is in this style. A lot of the system icons, the default icons for ancestries and things like that come from, these are all gameicons.net icons. And so they are, these are just great to have, as a completely free resource for anybody that's making a game. So shout outs to them for being just a great resource, and they, we credit them in our licenses, but I don't know that anybody actually goes and looks at our license files. So they deserve, a shout out, just as, the amount of work they put in to make this resource available for anybody. Okay. So you didn't have anything better than the default Mystery Tengu image here. So that is the Ancestry, right? The Ancestry has the publication data, and so we're going to add it into the Ancestry folder. We can get rid of that because I don't need it anymore. Okay. So now we're going to make Pnoll heritages. So I'm going to make a folder called Pnoll. And we are going to start on heritages. So I copy and paste from the PDF all the time, even if I am confident in my ability to spell. I don't want to, I could fat finger these and mess up something. Much easier to just copy and paste from here. And so we have two ways that we can go about this, right? We can either go through and make a different heritage item for each of them, or because I'm going to be doing this several times in a row, and I'm going to be, doing several steps that all seem to be about, sort of the same thing, right? So I'm just going to set an icon in a place that is close. I'm going to drag in my Ancestry. I now have this blank heritage item that has, all the data set that I need just for just to get started. And then I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And so I'm going to come into here. I'm going to make 3 copies because I already have 1. And so I now have 4 that already have the Ancestry set. And that's not that bad for only 4 items. But if you're doing, say, Feats, this can be, I'll show you both ways that I handle Feats. The probably better way to handle Feats, and then the super janky way that can let me enter hundreds of Feats in a relatively short time. Okay, so I'm going to start here, paste in Perfume Pnoll, and come in here and copy, use my data entry tool. It's a lot more claustrophobic on, oops. And again, if you haven't watched the data entry video, I have auto hotkey scripts that let me quick insert things. So I just hit Control E and it creates a paragraph break there. Okay, so let's listen to, or let's listen. Let's read what this heritage does, and let's figure out. Okay, so Illusory Disguise gets a wrenching, so we're going to link it. I'm going to delete the label. That is purely me, because in the system we capitalize these labels, and in the actual Paizo, in Paizo style, you don't. You instead italicize them in text, and looks like this didn't get italicized here, which it happens, it's a tiny thing, and this is a, from early days of PF2e, back before Paizo's designers probably had it drilled to their head by editorial that no, you italicize spell names and magic item names. You capitalize feat names. Okay, so right, so we reference illusory disguise. We have a +2 circumstance bonus to saving throws against olfactory effects. Olfactory is a trait proper, and so I'm going to make a thing, and this kicks on when the item has the olfactory trait. Alright, and so that is Perfume Pnoll. Let's find a good-looking icon for this. Sure, why not a purple swirl? Kind of seems like perfume. Alright, next. Pouchful Pnoll. Okay. We have a reference to conceal an object, so we're going to create that. And notice, so I want to point this out here because it's important. With quick insert, you can bring up the insert menu. If I just click on this, it will create a link to the item, but this link is in fact wrong. So in this, you have it's telling you that it's in a compendium, it's the PF2e compendium, it's the actions compendium, and then it's this item. If I instead put these on their own lines, if I instead drag it in, as opposed to just clicking, right, you can see this ends up with this document level. So this is telling it that, hey, there's a document type. And the two look identical. The difference is that this is more proper, and so this is the one that we should prefer. Okay. And so that means that when using quick insert, you should drag things to your text. I do hope that quick insert fixes that soon. It doesn't matter so much for module entry, but for system entry, it is absolutely crucial because the system enforces that document level to be there in order to be a proper link and get extracted properly. Okay, so +2 circumstance bonus to stealth checks to conceal an object in your pouch. All right, so that one. All right, so stealth. Yeah, stealth, not deception. Okay, +2 circumstance bonus, and so this is action conceal an object. But it's not all uses of conceal an object. We could just say, yeah, if you're concealing an object, you're probably concealing it in your pouch in order to get this. But in order to be fully proper, right, we're going to add a conceal in pouch role option. And so that is, that means that this is basically relegated to always being turned on by just toggling it in the roll dialog, and that's probably fine because this is a less commonly used thing. All right, we need a thing. I actually think this is that's a decent enough image for concealing something in a pouch, I guess. The air images are useful today. All right, then we have Trash Tooth Pnoll. All right, so Trash Tooth. Okay. So you gain a Jaws unarmed attack that deals 1d6 piercing damage. I am going to get rid of this inline damage. Even though my tool automatically created it, we don't include inline damage rolls for things that are properly automated, right? If a feat says that it adds 1d6 fire damage to a strike, you just add the damage to the strike with a rule element. We don't need an inline for that. On the critical hit with your jaws, the target becomes sickened. Checks to recover from this condition use your class DC or spell DC, whichever is higher. Okay, so we are going to do a little bit of editorializing here, and so we are going to insert an inline, and so this is at check fortitude. This is against class-spell. And if this is, the first time you're seeing inline, see the other data entry video, see the system style guide. And then I am going to add in options to this. Because we don't have a proper retch action, but that is the name for... that is the proper name for the action you take to try and recover from the second condition. Okay, so now we have a button that will automatically pull from the higher of our class or spell DC. We have second 1. So there's 3 things we need to do for this. Before we get into automating it, let's pick an icon. And so this is Trash Tooth Pnoll. We can come all the way up to commodities and look at biological, and nothing really like screams poisonous tooth. Look at, bones. That looks trashy enough. All right, and so now we're going to need to automate this thing. We want a strike rule element to add in the strike. We also want a note rule element to add this note. And because we are doing this properly, we are going to localize that note. So we're going to come in here to this, and we are going to add a specific rule thing, and you can call this again. All of these are entirely arbitrary. This is just adopting some of what the system does. Okay, Pnoll. Okay, so now the localizers, if they wanted to release this release a translation for this module, they wouldn't need to edit the rule elements. They can just come in here and edit this, and it'll work. All right, so I am going to copy the path to this. There's probably a nice plugin for Sublime Text that will let me copy paths much easier, but... Okay, so I'm going to need 2 rules. The first one is going to be a strike. The second one is going to be a note. And so the note title is the name of the item that it's on, so just Trash Tooth Pnoll. Selector is going to be jaws damage. Outcome is on a critical success. And then in here, for the text, we're going to do that. So that is our call to our localized file. If I roll this now, it wouldn't. It would just show this because it won't find it until I reboot Foundry. Okay, and so now for the strike rule. I cheat. I have a massive file of rule elements that I keep at all times in Sublime Text. That is just thousands of lines of rule elements. Some of them are old and don't work, so no, I'm not going to share it. Others are like sort of examples of things I would want that I give to the other devs. But this is, this is how I go. One of the ways I go so quick is I don't have to rewrite everything all the time. You can just steal the JAWS rule element from some item in the system if you want. Okay, so these do 1d6 piercing damage. They're in the brawling group and have the finesse and unarmed traits. So we can get rid of agile. The system's JAWS image isn't very great. It's a little blurry. So I can get rid of the image and it'll just default to using this, which is fine. And then is d6. They're in the brawling group. Categories unarmed. This is our call to our localization for the system. So if you're playing this system in Portuguese, do it automatically translate for you. And then give it a slug, and we're good. All right, so we can apply. Actually, technically, there's one more thing I want to add here that wasn't in this. I'm going to add a base type JAWS. Okay. And so base type won't work for every thing you do. These are defined by the system. Right, so that just tells it, oh, if I have other JAWS attacks or, certain things that, like deity items or deity favored strikes, things like that, to interact with those. Okay, so that sets up Trash Tooth Pnoll. We're good there. And if I was, less confident in my ability to copy and paste working rule elements, or if I was writing things from scratch, or if the automation was more complicated, I would use a test actor, right? We should make a new just test actor. And I would test these things out, right? I would drag in Trash Tooth Pnoll, and there's my JAWS strike. It deals the piercing damage. It's got finesse and unarmed, right? So I didn't screw up the thing at all. I didn't mess up the localization. Yeah, so it's always a good idea to just, give it a good test. Because sometimes, quite often I will write something and I will just forget one tiny bit and it just doesn't work. Okay, so here we go. Snake Bitten Pnoll. Alright, we have poison resistance equal to half our level, +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against poison. Both those are pretty easy to do. We're going to first make a choice for this. I already know exactly where the one I want is. It's this snake, because that's a cool looking snake, right? There's some cool looking stuff in here, but come on, man. Alright, so we're going to pick that one. For our rules, I am going to once again just steal. Charhide Goblin is a great one to know off the top of your head, because it has a resistance to fire equal to half its level, and it has this downgrade for persistent damage for fire. Persistent damage, right? Reduces the flat check to 10 or 5, and this automatically reduces it to 10. So very good to know for 2 rule elements, so we can just change that to poison, and I didn't have to type anything else out. Okay, so if I wasn't explaining that would only take a few seconds. Okay, and then the next part, +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against poison. So this is all saving throws. Saving throw, +1 circumstance, item, trait, poison. And you might be wondering why not just say poison and delete this this item trait bit. We are trying to be more specific about things, and if we were going to redo the system from scratch, we wouldn't include these top level, just the top level poison, because that could be potentially vague, right? So let's say the creature itself, or the hazard itself, has the poison trait, but the action it's using doesn't. Right, that would be an instance where, we wouldn't want that automation to kick on. But if you're just going by the top level traits, it's not clear that that's what you mean, right? So we instead say, well, just if the item itself has the poison trait, then that is when this should kick on. All right. So that is all of our heritages, right? And I've already run the finalized data entry macro, but I can do it again just to be sure. In our heritages, we're now going to drag in the entire Pnoll folder, and that'll bring in our folder full of stuff. And as is tradition, and again, this is just a bad habit of mine, I'm going to get rid of it because I don't want it cluttering up my world. All right, so now a new folder called Pnoll. And then under that folder, we're going to make some subfolders for the feats. And so, right, so first level feats, fifth level feats, and so on. Okay, so there's, like I said, there's two ways we can make feats in Foundry somewhat quickly. And so Pnolls only go up to 13th level feats. They don't have any 17th level feats for us to worry about. Okay, so we now have our folders full of feats. What we can do, right, and so this is, we can take one feat and we can set it up. So the book icon that we use for feats is under sundries, books, and this is exclamation mark book. This was arbitrary. We just decided, unlike 5e, where the standard is that you pick a different icon for every single feat, PF2e has thousands of feats, right? We could double check here. Right, game.packs.get. We can find our feats. Right, so we can tell it to get this. We have 5,389 feats in the system. That's a lot of icons for us to have been picking, and even if it's only, 30 seconds each, that's a huge amount of time to sink into it. Starfinder, we went with just a different icon. So, yeah, as you can see, that's too many feats for us to reasonably be worried about, and you'll see another reason why we do this differently than 5e is we are going to go very fast. So, how I can do this here, I can look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feats. They all have the Pnoll trait. They're all guaranteed to have the Pnoll trait because this is a thing. So I'm going to say we have 1 is our item name and 5 is the number of copies to make. We are now going to rename that 5, set the level to 5, move that in here. We have 2 5th level feats, so I don't need to run the macro. I can just right click. Oh, I need to, yeah. This macro helps when there's a lot more. And so then 9th level feats. All right, we just need 1. And 13th level feats, we only have 1. Okay, and so that would set up all of our feats right away, and we can then, come in and just start editing them one at a time. And that is great. There's not that many feats in this book. That won't take very long. I want to show you what I do for Paizo rulebooks. And this is, I want to reiterate, very, very janky. So you don't have to do this, but this is an example of how to go very quickly when you have a lot of feats that you're working with. Okay, so I now have my things. I am going to Control-A, Control-C, paste it all in, search for space FVAT /D+. Okay. Oh no. Okay, so space /D+. Okay, so I am using Sublime Text's very nice regular expression search, regex. So this is saying look for any number, and it can be multiple digits. And so I'm saying match space, the word feat. In this, it is capital F, then this just in title case. In actual Paizo books, it is all capitalized, so that's just up to you to how the thing was formatted in your PDF that you made. And so, okay. So now that I have this, I'm going to find all. I'm going to home to go back to the beginning. I'm going to go down 1, and I'm going to end. I'm holding shift this entire time so that I get the entire line, or so I select everything. I'm going to cut, select it all, and paste. I now have a list of every single one of my feats. In this, these are formatted with a question mark if they are an action. I want to get rid of that. In Paizo books or other books, the formatting might be a number. We just want to make sure to get rid of that. If it was a number, so let's say these were, 1, and this was, 3. So it's a 1 action thing, a 3 action thing. We can very similarly do what we did before of doing this, but also start with another leading thing that we can select them all. And so if we have hundreds of feats that we're adding, if we're adding an entire book like Player Core 2, there's a lot of stuff in there. And you can, very quickly find them all just by using regular expressions. And again, this is super janky. You do not have to do this. So I am then going to, once again, just select all the instances of the word feat. Fortunately for us, these are all already in title case. That is not the case in Paizo books. And other devs are likely looking at me like I'm insane at this point. So this seems kind of, weird to do here since there's so few of them. But this is how they would how traits would normally come out formatted. And so what I would do is I would come in here to the space, and I would say separate those like that. And then I can go into edit, convert case, and I can move these all to kebab case. And so this gives us and this is one of the reasons why I like Sublime Text, because it has these tools to go very quickly like this. If you were, because, you know, if I'm not editing 9 lines, if I'm instead editing, you know, 150 lines, this goes very, very fast. And so then I come back in here, I had 9 cursors, so I paste, and it automatically puts the data back where it goes. All right, I then close off my thing so that I have all of these done. I then need to, because this is a non-remastered product, I need to make a change. MetaMagick is going to throw a fit, so I need to change that to spell shape. Okay, so now I need to finish this up. So what I'm doing here is I am making a JSON object that contains all of the data that I need for these feats. So that is everything that I need here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a script that I have. I'll bring it in here. Don't need that anymore. Okay, so this is my feat entry script. I will share this, but yeah. Okay, so we are not going to be worrying about defining a category. This is stuff that I do when I do these large entry projects. I will just go and fix this stuff. So, okay, we don't need to worry about rarity because none of these are uncommon or rare. The Ancestry itself is uncommon, and you can see the last thing that I ran this on was Battle Zoo. But we're going to call this the Pnoll. All right, and so paste in our feats. All right, so hopefully, like those of you who can program might see what this is going to do. Those of you who can't can probably also guess. We have an array that is full of the basic data for each of our things, and in order to use these things like the system.category, or the category and the rarity, all I would do is just define more instances in here. I would want to be careful if any of them were uncommon, because that shows up in the traits array, but that's, you know, just more bulk editing. Okay, and so I am going to so something to notice here, right? I'm getting a folder that is called level space folder feat.level. So I'm going to need to make, before I run this, because I will get errors anyways, I'm going to need to rename these level 1, level 5, level 9, and level 13. Okay. And I don't need to make a macro for this, because this is a thing that is always just ran the exact same. So I will expand these so you can see the magic happening, and hopefully I don't have anything busted in here. All right, boom, done. And so now, this has made all of the feats for us. It's set them up as Ancestry feats. It's given them the correct traits. And you can hopefully see how, you know, doing this for 9 feats, not so much, you know, a time save, but doing this for 150 feats, huge time save. And even if I have to split those 150 feats up into multiple batches to do, say, you know, one archetype at a time so I can put them in the right folders automatically, huge help. I can also, if I'm doing a remaster book, I can have the system check against existing feats. You know, if I'm doing a, you know, like when we did Guns and Gears Remastered, I had the system double check against existing feats. And so it spat all of the ones that already existed into their own folder so that I would just have a list of, here's all the feats that I just need to go and update in the system as opposed to making new items for, and new feats got shunted into correct folders. So it can even help when you're doing something like that. Okay, so done with that. Now let's start filling in the feats. You could add a description property to that macro and have it autofill the description. I don't find that really saves much time because you're still running through the same steps. You're just doing it outside of Foundry. Okay. So, we're going to automate as we go. You get a +2 circumstance bonus on athletics checks to climb and gain the combat climber feat. Okay, so we are going to link to combat climber. You reduce the number of free hands you need to climb or trip by 1. We don't need to worry about that. We're going to open up combat climber, and there's 2 things we're going to do here. The first is that flat modifier. I, generally speaking, prefer to put my rule elements in order that they appear in the text. So if it says to do the flat modifier first, I will put the flat modifier as the first rule element. I will also, the exception to that is I tend to put toggles at the top. And there's no real reason for that. It's just sort of my idiosyncrasies while doing data entry. Okay. So this is a +2 bonus on athletics checks to climb. It's a circumstance bonus. All right, we're good. So now we're going to grant the combat climber feat, and this is real easy because we have a nice form. So we just click on the button here, get the UUID, paste it in, done. All right, athletic tail is now automated. Garbage fire. This one will actually be probably the hardest one to do here. All right, so we're going to add in the prerequisite. Prerequisites don't get added to the structured data, or they get added to the structured data, but not the text. Again, I'm going to use one of my auto hotkey macros to insert a horizontal rule in there, so we get that nice line splitting this. All right, so if the next action you take is casting a spell with the fire trait, you add your scrap of garbage and add it as a material component. Any one creature that fails its saving throw or that you hit with a spell attack will become sickened 1. This effect has the disease trait. Okay, so this is a spell shape action. So we're going to want to add a new spell shape. The system does automate spell shape, and we are going to just, again, steal. So we can look at how Reach Spell does it. Right, so Reach Spell adds the... you can tell I did not do these because the roll option is not first. But again, it doesn't matter. So we are going to just, first off, start by copy and pasting just wholesale. Then we're going to come in here and we're going to fix some things. All right, so we're going to change this to be garbage fire because this is garbage fire. And so this will add, so since this is mergeable, this will add garbage fire as an option for our spell casting. All right, and so now we're going to be adding to spell descriptions, garbage fire, and then description, and we're going to redo this. I don't need to save those changes. I don't need the blank one anymore. All right, I now need a new localization for garbage fire, and I don't need a thing here. All right, so this is going to be PF2e dot specific rule dot Pnoll dot garbage fire. All right, and again, I could have just copy and pasted all that. Doesn't really matter. All right, so now this is only on things with the fire trait. And so okay, so only modify things that have the fire trait. All right, great. Now we should fill this in here. So we're just going to copy and paste that in there. And so now we have a nice note. Okay, so we're done with that. We are now going to, so this is probably the most complicated, feat in there, because it uses item alteration, which is kind of a weird rule element. And because it's the most complicated, right, let's go ahead and let's make sure that we have it working. Okay, so we throw garbage fire in. We now see that we are in fact calling to the thing, so that is working. I can add in Ray of Frost, and Ray of Frost doesn't get the note because Ray of Frost doesn't have the fire trait. Okay, all right, good. It works, which is better because, again, we stole it from a known good working example in Reach Spell. All right, now Pnoll lore. I skipped a few, didn't I? Yep, I did. Okay. Junk Tinker. Just kidding. Okay. You can make level 0 items, including weapons not on junk. This is price from a quarter of the normal amount. Okay, there's nothing we can do to automate any of this. When you come up to stuff that deals a lot with like downtime or things like that, you're generally less able to automate it, and there's not too many inroads into the crafting system. This doesn't give us daily crafting, so we wouldn't use the crafting ability rule element here. All right, so now play dead. Here's our first. Oh, I missed this. Garbage fire is one action. And there's no frequency on it. Okay, so here's our second item with a action cost. And so I'm going to add in horizontal rule and just line break, and then format. Okay. So, and one thing you'll notice here, right? This is a this does use flat-footed because it is a OGL document, and the script automatically updates that to off guard for us, right? It just detects, hey, flat-footed? Nope, you mean off guard now. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's set this to reaction before I forget. You flop down. Next time you act, creature believes you're dead. It's off guard. Nothing we can do to automate that. Okay, creature attempting to determine whether you're alive must attempt a question against such a check. So this is maybe, it's not really automatable. We don't have anything for it, so I'm just going to leave it, leave it off. And because it's for a DC, it means that it's not associated with a roll, which means we can't even add like a, stand-in bonus with a fake predicate that would only kick on if you kick it on in the roll dialogue, because you don't get a roll dialogue for your DC. So, all right, that's all we can do for that one. And now Pnoll lore. And so, tragically, this is one of the old-style Ancestry lore feats. And so we're not going to automatically get assurance. All right. So this is going to give us stealth and survival skills. It also makes us trained in Pnoll lore. We have no way to automatically add lore skills right now. Please don't try it. You're only going to, stick your fingers into a bear trap that is the way the system handles lores right now, which is a real ugly setup. Okay, so we're going to have two different rules, and this is stealth and survival. I have a whole lot of places I could write these from scratch, or I could just steal them. And so I can look at any of the dedications for a multi-class dedication, usually has one. Ranger's a good one because it's already got survival for us. And so there, we now have two that upgrade survival, and we can very quickly change that to stealth, and we're done. Okay, so that now automates Pnoll lore. We don't have, for other proficiencies, you can come in here and add them on this. So, if you had a feat that gave you spellcasting or perception proficiency or increase to saving throw, anything like that, you can add it here. Your homebrew classes will not appear in the list of class DCs, unfortunately. So you do still need to make active effect likes to upgrade them. But these sub features are very nice for not having to rely entirely on rule elements. Okay, and that is level 1 feats done. So now we have level 5 feats. We have alchemical spittle. So we're going to add that in here. All right. You can secrete 2 items worth of spittle into bottles during your daily preparations. The items must be identical and can be any version of the elixir that's 2 or more levels lower than you. Choose from antidote or anti-plague. Is the last thing you do before you go to bed is drink. Spit out 2, that elixir said. Okay. So this is going to use crafting ability. And so okay. Okay, this is doable. So I'm going to steal from Horn of Plenty, which I talked about in the last rule element video. Okay. And any version of the elixir is 2 levels or lower. Okay. So we are going to max item level at actor.level -2. It is always a good idea when you are referencing anything in actor or item data. If you're doing math with it, you must follow that up with a space. Right? I could do, like -2, -4, -6 over here, all I want. But when I'm referencing actor data, if I just do this, the system is going to look for a property on the actor called level -2, or level -2. It does not know you're trying to do math there. The space tells it this is a mathematical formula. It's, unfortunately, one of the things you just have to kind of hop around. Okay, so max item level is actor level -2. It has to have the elixir trait, and they have to both be the same item, which means that I need to make batch sizes Batch sizes is an array. No, batch sizes is an object. And it's just default 2. Okay, so let's open up our actor, set them to level 5 because they need to be level 5. Go to our crafting tab, and we are going to drag in alchemical spittle, and then alright, let's drag in antidote. So when we put our antidote in there, we get, oh right, yeah, we can't, so instead of max slots 2, we have max slots 1. Okay, that was it. So we're making 2 lesser antidotes. Alright, we're good. Alright, so that sets that up. Next up is Tree Hugger. So this has a prerequisite of Athletic Tail. And this PDF reader I'm using is Sumatra. It is a free program, and the reason I like it is because it is very lightweight. It just does PDF reading. It's very, very quick to open, very easy to use, doesn't have, not made by a certain company that makes a very common PDF reader that I would like to not have on my computer as much as possible. Alright, so using your Closet Tail in concert, you gain a climb speed of 15 feet. As a single action, as move trait, you can drop and hang upside down. Okay, so we're going to get a base speed. Base speeds are pretty easy to add. We're just going to type this in manually. If I was going to be going for a base speed based on the actor speed, my go-to item is the Ring of Swimming, because it gives you a base speed or base swim speed equal to your total speed times 0.5. And I know I just said that you should keep a space there. Multiplication doesn't matter to have the space. It would just be for readability. It's really plus and minus. They're the problem children. Okay, so alright, so we now have Tree Hugger done, and so that is level 5 feats. We're cruising along here. Pack Pnoll. So our Pack Pnoll. Okay, 1 medium ally can hang on to you at a time. Getting on and off takes the mount action while riding your creature. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so nothing we can really automate there, and so that's level 9 feats. Alright, Penultimate Sacrifice. Here's the last feat we're going to do. Alright, so this one is going to reference Play Dead, so we are going to need to come back to that once we put it in Compendium. Alright, it's a thing, the target attacks you instead. Okay, so that is that. There's nothing to automate there. There's no prerequisites. We now have all of our Pnoll feats done. We drag them in. We now have all this stuff. Again, I will show you why I've been deleting. If I come in here and I Control F, I will end up with multiple copies, right? And so here we have the problem of there's also something in the system called Playdead, clearly. And so I'm going to need to just come in and drag directly, make sure that I get the right one, because I don't want to link to the one in the sidebar I don't want to link to the one in the system. I want to make sure that my references are all set up correctly and work. Okay, so now we have two things that we want to double check the localizations for, and so I'm going to need to close Foundry, relaunch it, and so we're going to need to check Garbage Fire and Trash Tooth, make sure that those notes are properly referenced in our localization, and then after that we will be done with the in-Foundry work for this Ancestry. How long did that take me? Okay, hour 41. That's not that bad. So, pretty small Ancestry, pretty like, pretty quick process, given that I was explaining what I was doing as opposed to just going fast. All right, so now if I flick on my spell shape, yep, indeed, the Garbage Fire localizes properly. If I make my critical hit with my Jaws attack, I get the correct note. So we are done with, at least with the in-Foundry work. So that's that. All right, so the module is almost ready to ship. Last couple of things that we want to do here. So we don't have a description in here yet, and we should, right? So this is something I just skipped earlier, and so just showing you how to come in and actually update this stuff. So the description, we can set it to whatever. The expansion pack for Pathfinder 2nd edition. Right, now I'll give it a more proper name when I actually do the thing. For modules that are first here, let's make sure that people are on the right Foundry version. So we're going to set our minimum and verified to 12.331 because that is the Foundry version that I've been working on. You don't need to be that specific normally, but I want to make absolutely sure nobody downloads this with an older version of Foundry and runs into problems. So it'll also stop people from, if I had an update to the module that bumped it up to a newer Foundry version, like when I release, an update to this for V13, I will come in here and I will say the minimum is 13 point something. And that will keep people who are still on V12 from downloading the new version. So that is important. You can set a maximum. I don't normally suggest it because it's just a maintenance burden. So you will need to add a manifest link and a download link to your module. So this is kind of complicated by the fact that this module already exists, and so I don't need to go through the normal process of coming in and setting up a module, right? I already have 3 months ago. I already have this module existing. It's already in my my Foundry data, so I can just come in here and update this, and I'm going to. So I'm gonna have to unarchive this and get it actually updated and released. And I will be releasing it. When I do the release, it will have more than just Pnoll in it. I'm going to add something else. And look, hey, last version was 2.0, so 3.0 is a good version number for this major overhaul. Yeah, so what you would do is you once you have your module made, if you wanted to share it with other people, you have a couple of options. The first is to just come in and I don't need this attributes file. The first is to come in and just grab the files, zip them up, so you can see your packs in there. These are all just LDB files, so you can't read them. They're all not human readable formats, all in binary nonsense. Okay, so yeah, so you could just zip this up and send it to other people, and they can unpack it manually, or you can use a hosting service like GitHub and set up a repository. Once you've set up a repository, you just go in and make releases. That is a little beyond this video. I just wanted to show basically the basics of actually getting a module put together. If you are having trouble with hosting or with your manifest URL, anything like that, check out the Foundry Discord. The Foundry Discord has a module development channel that you can jump into, and they can help you out with any of the core Foundry stuff. As for common problems that people see, if you muck around with your module.json and you find that your module doesn't work anymore, the most likely issues are related to the ID, which needs to it needs to match the folder name that it's in here. You also might have issues with if you added flags, if you added homebrew traits, you could end up with a problem of these can be kind of like nested multiple levels deep. If you're just trying to wing it with Notepad, you very likely aren't going to end up with the right number of brackets, and so it really does help to use a tool that is geared toward actually making things set up toward working with JSON data, so if your module loads but none of your actual traits are showing up, the most likely issue is this right here. This has to match your ID exactly. If it doesn't, then the system is going to think you're, for whatever reason, trying to define flags for another module, right? So like if I had a module that looked for flags in some other module to say it's compatible with, or works with, or get settings or whatever, I could define flags for another module in here. That is well beyond what the system is expecting. It wants you to define your homebrew under your own module's flags. Okay. I think that is basically everything. So we're, just a bit under 2 hours here, which is not bad for making a module. So thanks for sticking with me. The expansion pack update will be out soon, maybe before this video, maybe not, depending on how long this takes to do any amount of editing to. I don't know how much editing I'm going to do, but all right. Everybody have a great week.